You're listening to the New York Sports Show, the #1 all New York sports podcast. Hosted by Dominic Konareski.
Hello and welcome to the New York Sports Show. I'm your host, Dominic Konareski. On the line today for an exclusive one-on-one interview, we have Motorsport Series modified driver Blake Barney on. Blake, hello and welcome to the New York Sports Show.
Hey Dominic, I'm glad to be on. I'm excited for this interview.
Yeah, happy to have you on. It's a true honor, folks, to have Blake on. Now, Blake, I said Motorsport Series modified driver, and you know what? That fits you perfectly. You've raced in so many different modified series at so many different tracks. First of all, what made you get into modified racing?
Well, my dad and my grandfather have been racing my grandfather's been racing for about 70 years. His grandfather got him started in the 50s, and then he took over the car, and he's always owned it. He's never driven it, but he's owned cars since the late 50s, and my dad, was born in the 60s, and, as soon as he was old enough, he was crew chief in the cars, and they've always had guys drive for him, and I've been lucky enough to, get in the seat now, and it's pretty cool to have, my dad as the crew chief, my grandfather as the owner. So, there's really no better way to, spend time with your family and get closer with them. So, it's a pretty cool deal.
That's very awesome. Definitely keeping racing in the bloodline and then just being able to bond and stuff. I can't imagine that kind of relationship. That must be so awesome knowing that you're keeping, in a way, the family tradition on of racing. Now, you drive the number 14 modified. What made you choose that number?
At the beginning, when I was younger and stuff, we were always 14 and I never really questioned it. I thought it was just my grandfather's number. And then a couple years ago, I said to him, where did 14 ever come from? And it's actually, I might mess this story up a little because it was a while ago when he told me this, but my grandfather's dad, which started this whole thing, was a B-24 gunner in World War II. And when they came back and they were going to race in the 50s after the war, his number was B-24. Well, then they decided that they couldn't have any more letters, so then they were 24. They went to a track one day, and someone already had 24, so then they were 14. So, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool story that he told me that, and I always remember it.
Yeah, 100%. That is just an awesome story right there, going out, fighting for your country, and then coming back and doing some good old racing. That is a truly awesome story, and you don't hear that much, So, with that said, and like I said before, you race in multiple modified series. Which one would you say is your favorite series to compete in?
I had a lot of fun on the tour. The NASCAR really treats you well, and they do a lot of accommodations for you and really treat the drivers and give them a lot of exposure and stuff. But I like TriTrack a lot. We're gonna race that this weekend, and it's really competitive on the TriTrack. You got guys coming from all different kinds of series, all different kinds of tracks, whether it's home tracks or series that they run. It's really cool because they all come together and clash because there's only 5 races, so most guys can usually, clear their schedules for only 5 races a year.
Yeah, it's crazy. And speaking of TriTrack, the Wheel Modified Tour, we've seen a lot of drivers choose the TriTrack Modified Series over the Wheel Modified Tour. Now, why do you think that is?
To be honest with you, the expenses of running the tour are very high, and I did it for 2 years in 2018 and 2019. I was fortunate enough to be able to run the tour, and it was a great opportunity, and I had fun, and it was awesome. But the expenses on the tour are a lot, and for anybody that's wondering, you think running the tour and TriTrack, you're still bringing a car to the track and you're traveling. So what could be so much more? It's with the NASCAR tour, you have to pay for licensing. Each crew member has to have a $350, $360 license, and you have to get your car inspected every race, which is about $180. And you also need to run, the spec motor, so you need to buy it off of NASCAR. And there's a lot of other little expenses, but I mean they do treat you well because there's a really big point fund, and if you're in the top 10 in points, after every race, if you're in the top 10 in points, you get $500. So I mean it makes up for a little there, but there's definitely a lot of little costs and licensing that doesn't come with the other series. When you go to TriTrack, you just pay a flat $150 entry fee, and you kind of just show up and tires, fuel expenses, usually that would come with racing, is that's it. And TriTrack pays really, really well. I'm pretty sure most of the races are 1,000 to start, meaning, even if you finish last place, you get 1,000, and they give some guys that don't qualify for the show money too, and obviously, I mean, next Wednesday's $10,000 to win, so, that's really good, and the payout through the field is really, really outstanding.
Yeah, that's good to hear that the TriTrack Series is doing that, because especially now, with everything going up in money, a lot of drivers, it's hard to keep up with everything for your car, so it's nice to have those larger payouts. Of course, the TriTrack Series schedule, like you said, is shorter than the Wheel and Modified Tour, but it's those little costs that the Wheel and Modified Tour has that end up adding up to a bigger cost. So I agree with you on that with the TriTrack Series. Now, going on over, you've raced against a lot of drivers in your career so far. Which driver would you say that you always find yourself competing against, so, per se, a rival?
A rival. Man, I enjoy competing against, a lot of drivers, and definitely, I mean, I wouldn't say a rival in a bad way, but, when I ran in 2018, Tommy Catalano ran with me for Rookie of the Year, so I was definitely trying to beat him every week. He ended up winning it because I had a couple retirements where I broke, and a motor broke here, or, a crash, but that was definitely fun running against Tommy and going for Rookie of the Year with him.
Yeah, that must have been awesome. Now, would you say, for you or just drivers in general, your friends off the track, would you say that they're your friends on the track?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it doesn't really work like that in racing. I don't know, I definitely have some people that are, really close with me personally, and it's pretty cool to have friends that I can race with, and I definitely probably give them a little bit too much room, but I'm pretty good friends with a lot of drivers in the modified community, and at the end of the day, we're all there to do the same thing, win. So you got to race people hard and not really give them anything, not be overbearing with aggressiveness, but
Yeah.
definitely let them know that you're there and stuff like that.
Yeah, rubbing is racing, folks. Now, we've seen, especially over the past 2 weeks, that local racing as a whole, and mainly modified racing, though, has gotten a lot of attention from the SRX Series. You had Doug Hope get the win. Now he has a Truck Series ride for Bristol. What do you feel like you have to do to get in that kind of spot that he's in? Overall, as a career, do you even plan to be in the truck, or are you just keeping it fully modified racing for your career?
It is pretty cool to race against. What Doug Kobe did at Stafford was really cool, and definitely built a lot of exposure for the modified community. He's a great representative of it. Same with Ryan Preece. He's doing great in the Cup, and when he goes down and races in Xfinity and trucks, he wins. It really shows the talent he has. So just to be able to race with those guys is really cool, and compete with them. And at the end of the day, when it comes to modified racing, that's my bread and butter, and that's where I race every week. So I feel like I can have just as good as a car as them at any racetrack, and hopefully I can work up to being able to race with those guys every time. that they come down and be running up front with them. But when you talk about moving up, I ran the Tour for 2 years in 2018 and 2019. I was really young, only 18 and 19 years old, and I thought I maybe moved up a little bit too fast, and I did well, and I thought I did the best I could, and we had some really good results here and there, but struggled at other places. But now that I'm back, running my home track and I also run Evergreen Raceway and Mahoning Valley Speedway. I'm running places that are close to home. My ultimate goal is to get good at the tracks that are close to me, those 3 tracks, and be able to, have a winning car every single time I show up to the racetrack. So then when I do go to shows like this Wednesday at Deconk, I can be better, and I want to kind of nail down my home track first and get good there so that I can carry that through to other racetracks, traveling series like TriTrack or the Tour. Of course I would like to move up, but I feel like until I can run, consistently well on the Tour or TriTrack or the upper series and the modifieds, that, I'm trying to deserve my chance to, move up and run well, and then maybe I can get a quick breakthrough. But I mean, it's hard anymore. I've been searching for sponsors. Sponsors are hard to come by, but if you do enough work, you can definitely get them. But when you talk about ARCA or truck, it takes a lot of money to get there, and you definitely have to have good backing behind you. But it is possible.
Now, for people who do want to sponsor you, how do they get in contact with you?
That's a good question. Well, I have Facebook. I mean, I have multiple social medias, but my email is blaked2144@gmail. So I always will respond to that. But I mean, getting sponsors, if you search hard enough and build yourself enough of a portfolio, is a lot easier to contact with them. But there's a lot of different options. When people think about sponsorship, they think that you got to spend thousands of dollars to be on someone's car. But if you just talk to the drivers, they usually will work with you, and we'll be able to find something that your company can afford and still get you a great amount of exposure, because we do race at a lot of different tracks and have a lot of different eyes looking at us through the stands.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, going into your upcoming race, what are your goals for that?
So first I run. We got rained out last week at my home track, Wall Stadium, so we're gonna run twin 40 lappers. Obviously my goal is to win. I haven't got a win over there yet. The last big race we had, the Garden State Classic, I led about 3/4 of the race and just fell apart for me. Got sent to the back, came back through, and got crashed. So definitely want to get the win on my home track. I got 2 shots to do it this weekend. And then Wednesday I got Deconk, so it's a lot of racing coming up ahead of me. I'm really excited. 3 different races. But, my goal for the TriTrack race is, I've been running at Evergreen Raceway twice this year, and I was able to go up against Matt Hirschman. Got a good field of 25 cars over there in upstate PA at Evergreen, and I was able to finish second both times that we were there for the Tour Modified shows. Had some good shots at Hirschman. He the first race I led the most of it. He got by me. Second race I caught him. So, hopefully if I can run with Hirschman like that at Evergreen, I can run with him like that at Deconk, because most likely he'll be in the top 5 the whole race.
Well, good luck to you on that. You have a lot of racing coming up, like you said. Now, final question. Overall, Barney, you are a household name in not only the modified community, but the local racing community as a whole. Everyone knows you. A lot of people look up to you. A lot of people go to races to see you perform. How would you say you stand out from, per se, the Doug Coby's, Justin Bonsignors, and Keith Wacko's out there? What makes you the superstar driver that you are?
Well, I mean, I definitely, I was put in a really lucky position of being able to drive this Red 14 car. I mean, there's a lot of drivers that have came before me. I can name them: Tony Siscone, Wally Dullenbach, Jimmy Boyle drove it, for a while, Reggie Ruggiero. I mean, just to name a few, is a lot more drivers. So I'm just trying to, live up to those big shoes, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity that I was able to be in. I have great equipment, and my grandfather and my dad make sure that the car is the best that it can be every time that it goes on the track. But I mean, what how do I stand out? I mean, I'm a friendly guy. I like to build relationships with the fans. Love the autograph sessions and when I'm able to meet the fans. And I'm a clean, conservative driver most of the time, but I don't let people rough me up. So I'll always, whenever we go to these Seacon shows, I'll always be out there and be out there to stick it to the end. So I feel like I'm a bit of a dark horse, but don't sleep on me, and don't be surprised if I am running up front and able to steal a win.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, Blake, thank you for joining us here on the New York Sports Show. Folks, once again, this was Modified Racer Blake Barney, who drives the number 14 Modified. Blake, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. It was an honor having you on.